Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make deep drum and bass like Alix Perez. As usual, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets. Everything from this video is available right at the top of the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, they're already available there as well. And yeah, let's get started. So, we're at 174 BPM. The first sound that I have here is this pad, which sounds like this. So here's the MIDI for this pad. What this is it's basically playing these two chords. It's playing this A major chord here, and then it's going down to an F sharp minor here. So pretty simple, basically, yeah, like. So you can see those are the basic chord shapes. We have our root note, third, and fifth, and then on top of that we just have like minor seventh there, we have, or a major seventh there, we have this B here, which is a ninth, we have another C sharp, and then I have an F sharp hanging over top of it. So it's simple chords, but then just kind of adding different voices to them to make it a little bit more exciting and a little bit more interesting. Now, for the sound with this one, this is made using Operator. What it is it's this FM pad, which if I turn off these filters you can hear. So actually, pretty harsh sound. Like you can see, it's just 4 sine waves here. I've got them all at different octaves, and then they're going into this bandpass filter here. And so what's happening is the bandpass, you can see I've got the filter drive and the shaper on. The bandpass is automating, so this is, we're taking that super harmonically rich sound before. That's what made that sound really harsh, was essentially the fact that there were just so many harmonics playing. We're taking that and then filtering it down a bit, and then by just kind of like moving that filter, you can shift the timbre of the sound. And then you can see I have it kind of fitting into the track rhythmically, like as this is building for 2 bars here. You get like the filter opening, and then it shuts, and then it's opening. It's like kind of, you know, fitting it into the track with automation. I think that's the key if you're going to use like a pad in this style of drum and bass, is, you know, you can't just have like long held out droning notes with a ton of reverb. If you're going to do that, it needs to have some kind of automation or something like this. Maybe it's playing 2 different chords rhythmically. It needs something that's going to kind of fit in with the rhythm of everything else. So that's what that is doing. And then we have this LFO here just moving the volume of oscillator B. Then after that we have another filter. So then we have this low pass here, just kind of doing the same thing I was just talking about. It's just building up and closing. So here's without this. And then with it. So you can see this is what's really giving this that like deep, more lush sort of sound. And what I've also got going on here is we have an LFO on the filter frequency. So I just turned this up a little bit, and then this is at the rate's at 0.11 hertz. So this is just a little bit more like random kind of movement. So there's a lot happening here in terms of movement, and that's how you really bring the sound to life. Then we just have some chorus. I've got some reverb as well. These are both just giving the sound some space. Then I have my ultimate stereo widening rack. You can see, yeah, just got it on there. Got the spread set there, so that's spreading it out. Here's without that. And then with it. So you can hear that just kind of gives it that last bit of like fullness to really stand out in the mix. And then finally, we just have a bit of drum bus fattening the sound up. And then we just have a high pass filter cutting out the low end. You know, making sure this doesn't clash at all with the kick or the bass. And that is it for the pad. After that, we've got the kick, which sounds like this. So yeah, you can see this is just like a very fat, punchy drum and bass kick. You know, made by layering a very fat low end. Like, I'll actually just solo this for you so you can hear it. If you listen to the low end, it's really, really, you know, that's where most of the power is happening. And then we have like pretty fat mids and highs on top of that as well. And then that's how you get this kick. So yeah, just getting like this sort of shorter, but still super fat drum and bass kick in there. And then I've got a bit of drum bus on that. Got the transients turned up. So here's without the drum bus. And then with it. So it just gives it that extra boost to really make it punch through the track. And yeah, then after that we've got the bass line, which sounds like this. So here are the notes for the bass line. It's actually just 4 bars. So after this is all of what you're hearing, and then it's just like repeating there, even though the clip is 8 bars. So what's happening here is this is just bouncing between these first 2 notes. It's like boom, boom. And then at the end of every 2 bars, essentially, we do this little no. You can see we've got that one there, and then this one here. So I'll turn off the filter on this bass so you can hear exactly what's happening there. So yeah, like you saw before, we're in the key of F sharp minor. So I'm just kind of playing this thing in that scale. Like we're just doing E, which is the minor 7th. This D here, which is just 1 note up from the 5th with the C sharp. We have B as well, which is fitting in there. We have A, the minor 3rd. It's just walking down that scale. And then what's happening is you're getting a bit of call and response, because the first time you can see it starts up there, and then the second time it starts there, so you can hear that. That no. How it's like the same pattern, but it's like walking down the scale slightly. This is really like a nice way to add some call and response into your bass line and really like bring it to life. I think this is very interesting because of this stuff happening. And then also just having like the long held out notes, you know, you still want to have those so you can just get that like that deep. Kind of held out bass like that. And yeah, and then for the sound with this one, this is made with analogs. So this is just a standard sort of liquid German bass Reese type of sound. What it is we've got 2 saw waves here. They're being detuned a little bit, and then I've got those going into a low pass filter, which is set there. We've got the resonance up as well. The resonance really adds a lot of like fatness in the low end. Like if I turn that off, and then I'll turn it on, it's a lot fatter with the resonance, so that's definitely important. And then the one thing that's happening here that's also important is this key tracking. So key tracking is basically just wherever you play on the keyboard, the filter frequency is going to open and close essentially based on how high or low you're playing on the keyboard. And this works really well for these parts over here because you get some movement with the bass now. Yeah, you kind of feel that because you're hearing that long held out deep bass note, but then you come over here and all of a sudden it's, you know, it's like a little bit more growly because it's open. And if I turn this off, see how it's a little bit more flat compared to this? It's a lot more dynamic if you add this. So I've got that on there. Then we've got the amp envelope set like this. And then after that we have this bass amp. So this is just a really nice way to kind of fatten the sound up. Here's without it. And then with it. So yeah, you can hear, you know, it's just a really cool way to add some like real fatness in the low end to a bass like this. And really make it have that power that you needed to have for the style of track. Then we have a drum bus after that, so here's without it. And then with that, so you can hear what that's doing. You know, just kind of boosting up the fatness of the sound a bit after the bass amp. Then finally we just have this EQ, which is cutting a little bit of room for the kick and boosting the lows. And then we have a compressor sidechaining this a little to the kick just to make sure that it's not clashing. You can hear like the sidechain is barely noticeable. It just makes it so that the kick comes through a little bit clearer. And yeah, that's it for the bass. And then I have this kick and bass in a group together here, just with a bit of saturation. This is really good for German bass because it can really get your low end like tight. Like I think a lot of times part of the challenge with the style is just getting the kick and the bass to really be like powerful like this. and really sit on top of the mix. And so when you glue these together with some saturation, it really helps, because I'll show you. Here is the whole track without this, and then with it. So you see, like, without this, it's just not quite there. Like, you can feel it's a little bit too soft. You know, the kick and the bass are in there giving the low end, but it's just not quite right. But then when you turn this on, they just, you know, sit perfectly in the mix. So I definitely recommend doing some kind of saturation like this. And all I've done here is I've just turned the drive up a bit. And there you go. You know, it really makes your kick and bass punch through the mix a lot better than if you just have them on their own and not in a group. And yeah, from there we've got the Rimshot, which sounds like this. So this is a pretty standard drum and bass snare Rimshot type of sound. I've just got it in here. You know, you just want this like really quick, fat, hard hitting type sound like that. I've got it just going into some drum bus, so here's without that. So you can hear how that's really helping to make the sound, you know, punch through the mix. And yeah, from there we've got the percussions. So I'm going to walk you through these sort of step by step. So the first thing that you're hearing is this main tick, 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 which is happening across 4 layers, and it sounds like this. So these are these kind of like very intense, sort of like hectic drum and bass tambourines and shakers. And the way this is being made is we have a few layers. So the first thing that's happening here are these programmed sounds. So we have these 2 hi-hats here. And what's happening is I programmed one to go. Just and then this other one to go. It's the same thing, but this is on the 16th notes, so then you get that. So that's the first thing. You know, you don't want to just have like one hi-hat going tick, tick, tick. That can work, but having 2 like this works really well, because you can see we have the high one playing on the main, like, and then the low one playing on every other note, and you get a lot more intensity actually because of that little dynamic there than if you just had, like, say this one just going on its own. So that's the first thing, are those 2 program layers, because those are adding like a lot of like intensity to it. They're very solid and you can hear every hit. Then the second part of this is the tambourine and the shaker loop. So we have a tambourine here, and then a shaker. And so these are just kind of adding that more like live feel to it, because when you put these together, it's just like a really, really sharp, fat tambourine / shaker combo, and then you put that with those 2 program sounds. And now what's happening is we're getting the kind of like live sound from these, but then these have a lot more punch, and then it's just kind of adding punch on top of the tambourine and shaker. So yeah, that is how I would usually go about doing this. You don't always have to use a tambourine and a shaker. You can get away sometimes with just using one or the other. In this case, it sounded really good to have both. But yeah, and I'll show you, I've got a bit of processing. Like the shaker has a bit of drum bus. This hi-hat don't have anything. I've got a bit of a high-end boost on the tambourine, and then this hi-hat just has a low cut, and I pitched this one up as well. So yeah, that's how I would go about doing that, is just layering things up, but just making sure like everything is layered for a reason. Like, you know, for example, we don't just have a tambourine and a shaker just to have them. We have them because this is in the mid-range and this is in the high end. Or like, you know, we don't just have the programmed hi-hats for no reason. We have them because, as you can hear, when I play it without them and then with them, they add a lot of punch to this. So yeah, and then the other stuff that we have in here is just like this live hi-hat. You can hear it's like just in the middle there. So yeah, this is just a live hi-hat. The cool thing with this one is I automated the release, so you can see the first time it's super short, And then the second time it rings out a little bit more. So it just makes it feel a little bit more live, a little bit more real, and it adds some dynamic changes to the track as well. And yeah, then we have the ride, which sounds like this. So this is just a standard ride cymbal, just playing tss, tss, tss. I've got this one high passed quite a bit. This is really just to add some kind of like nice bright highs into the drums. It's a really subtle background element, but if I play this track without it, and then with it, you can hear how just having that like adds like some very nice high end to the track. And yeah, and then the last percussion we have here are these little break traps, which sound like this. So this is your standard sort of that you hear in a lot of drum and bass breaks. The way I've done this is I've just chopped this out of a breakbeat, like a sampled one, and then we just take this little and then you just drop it in here. But yeah, I find this to be a much better way to do it. Like if you just sample one out of a break like this, rather than like trying to get a snare and a hi-hat and make the little it seems like that would be easier, but this way you get a little bit more kind of character with it. I find when I do that, it just sounds too programmed. But this way, you know, it's a little bit more real sounding. And then I just have a little bit of a high pass filter on that. And then on the group of percussions, you can see we just have a bit of drum bus and then a bit of this EQ boosting the highs. So here's without those. And then with them. So you can hear what that's doing. It's just gluing everything together, making it all hit a bit more. And there we go. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI presets. Everything from this video that I've just shown you is available right at the top of the description for just $5 on my Bandcamp. This is a great way to support me if you guys are enjoying these videos. You can also get this project file on my Patreon. If you're a patron, it's already available there. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.